still recovering from them. One at Canberra, now one at Barbagallo. Here's how they line up. Paul Radisich and Mark Scaife. Once again, it's the way it was in race 2. Russell Ingall and Greg Murphy fill out the second row. Stephen Johnson fighting his way up through the field with Craig Lowndes alongside. Todd Kelly and Jason Bright continuing to make his late charge.
Then Stephen Richards for FTR. Cameron McConville, a good run so far in the Optus entry. Stephen Ellery, Cameron Mclean, John Bow, Garth Panda. Been a tough one for the local lad.
Talk about hard days. Brad Jones, Paul Wheel, Trevor Ashby, Mark Larkin was going to start from 20th, but as you see, he's out of competition. Rodney Forbes and Larry Perkins, Anthony Tratt and Jason Richards, the Kiwi, out of 24.
Further back, Faulkner, Romano, Miller, Bernard, Ricciardello, then Glenn Seaton back in 30th, Paul Morris and Jason Barbagallo, who spent some time down in the sand in that second race.
Just a bit of an update from the pit lane. It seems Marcus Ambrose is the only driver out there who will have a green set. It's a green set of tyres on the rears only, so he's coming from 15th position. Watch out for him. He looks like he's going to be in for a bit of a charger. As for the rest of the teams, well, I think it might be a bit of a Torval and Dean experience out there this afternoon.
Right about that, Grant. It'll be skating. Mark Scaife, he starts on the front row from position 2.
Keep in mind, if Scaife manages to win this final heat, Paul Radisich only has to finish 4th or higher to win the round overall. And if Radisich manages to take victory here, that'll be 3 Ford Shell round wins in a row. And you've got to look back to 1995 since the last time that happened for the Blue Oval. So it's been a real turnaround in the Shell Championship Series in 2001.
Have a look at astronaut Radisich there. He's got more hoses, wires, pipes, dingles and dangles hanging from that helmet. He gets very hot, so he's got the thing well ventilated. They're just pushing him back into position. He's slightly outside his starting grid box there.
And the message today would be, Houston, we do not have a problem. Totally dominant so far. Pole position, 2 race wins. If he takes pole and 3 race wins, it'll be the first time since Glenn Seaton achieved that feat back in 1997. So the Ford team's been out of the winner's circle for a long time.
Bit of form up the back of the pack there with Seaton up the back and also Barbagallo. We are set. And the lights work, and again Radisich makes an excellent start. Scaife goes with him and covers down the inside, but it's not strong enough. Radisich, Ingall up the inside, and I think he might make a move on Scaife here. It's going to be very tight through the first corner. Scaife will not relent. They go side by side to the S's. Radisich, Scaife, Ingall is forced back, so Scaife hung in there. That was a good bit of driving, and then Murphy in 4th.
A lot of people think that's no man's land on the outside through turn 1, but as you can see, when the switchback happens through the S's, your car's actually pretty well positioned. Scaife took advantage of that beautifully. He's up to second, holding on to second after Ingall got the jump on him off the line.
He held his ground, and there's a lot of marbles up there. It's quite a difficult thing to do. Look how close he is in the back of Radisich as they go through 6. This is the area where Larkham had that wheel come off the car and pitched him into the wall, and he's out of this event, but the battle rages. Scaife's got an excellent run off turn 6. He makes a run. It's a crisscross as they head down to the braking area at 7.
Expect Scaife to have some good speed in this last race. His tyre strategy has worked pretty well. He's got 2 fresh tyres on this car, which are critical this late in the day. He's got plenty of speed in this opening lap.
It's going to be interesting when we get to the half race distance and then see who hasn't got any tyres left. Oh,
hearing from race control, yeah. Stop go for Russell Ingall. Not quite sure what the reason is. Let's have a look.
Well, that'll be, I imagine, for creeping off the line. Maybe it may have been adjudged a jump start. Look at this battle in turn 1. That's Scaife on the outside, Russell in behind Radisich, and I'm surprised that Mark was able to hold his ground out there because it's usually dusty and dirty, very difficult. Also, we hear stop-go penalty for Marcus Ambrose, again for a false start. So 2 people penalised at the start of this 3rd race, and that really cruels Ingall's otherwise good weekend.
This is the critical one as they build up to speed coming over the hill once again. Their first flying lap time. Radisich has managed to hold the pace down to low to mid-59s throughout the day. Let's see what if his times drift out in this last race. That selection of 8 tyres, they're getting right down to what they got left.
You look at Radish's his car at the end of both races. Oh, look at this! Look! Stephen Ellery.
No.
Cameron, oh, look at that! Well, it's very lucky, Steve Ellery.
He was very lucky not to get T-boned by about half a dozen cars there. I think that was with one of the Valvoline cars. Need to see it again, but quite an extraordinary situation where they got a little bit out of shape coming off the final turn, and Ellery just got shoved to the inside. Here comes Ambrose for his stop-go. Ping-pong back turns to green. Well, away he goes.
That is not somewhere you want to be broadside to half the V8 supercar pack.
Oh, there's Stephen Henry's heart rate's a bit rapid at the moment.
59.97. Paul Radisic's first flying lap. 59.98. For Scaife, who's stuck right up behind the bumper of the Shell Ford. This looks like a real battle here.
And you see that Russell's got his left indicator on. He's showing Murphy that he's going to come in. He's taken the flag. Scaife's got the headlights on. There's a little bit of impatience there. He had great first lap cold tyre speed. You saw Ingle peel off, so he comes in for his compulsory stop. Well, not his compulsory stop, it's for an enforced stop.
So Radicic starts his building program again. He's pumped out 3/10 on Scaife that time around. Found 2 or 3/10 in that lap. That's exactly what he did in race 2.
You know, I don't understand this sometimes. I'm sure that they'll have decided that Russell's done something, but have a go at the penalty. I mean, if you're creeping at the start, you know, so he might have made a metre. Now he's lost him, and he's at the back of the field. It's not a just penalty.
It's not a just penalty, and it just ruins a race, doesn't it? I mean, it's just...
I know it's a difficult thing to sort out, because what do? If you don't have a hard-edged rule, then everybody will be creeping at the start. So clearly I know it's something that needs to be controlled, but gee...
But as you say, the penalty doesn't fit the crime at all,
it's
does it?
very difficult call. You want to try and stop people from gaining an unfair advantage at the start, but equally to drop out of third position and to end up at the back of the field, whoa, that is a serious penalty. Good
performance here from Cameron McConville. Let's have the Shell Helix replay of what happened with Ellery.
I see, so he's given one of the Valvoline cars a tap, and that was Tander, and then Tander comes back across to take his ground, and Ellery ends up in the weeds. Here it is again from the front angle. And so Garth just moving back to cover his ground.
Cameron McLean, his eyes are hanging out on springs.
I reckon Steve Ellery's would have been even further out of his head. How lucky was he?
Yeah, really incredible.
Could have had 12 cars drilling into his door if things had gone a different way. He managed to spin out of the way. Radicic has not been able to shake the whole racing team shadow. Here comes Larry Perkins, the other Castrol Commodore, in trouble. So both the Castrol cars suffering. There goes his teammate Russell Ingle right in the back of the pack.
So he's gone off at turn 4 there, so not a good day for the Castrol team. And whether Larry was unaided or somebody else was involved there, hard to see. We're on board with Mark Scaife as they rejoin the start-finish straight. That's the margin first to second. We'll see what it is numerically. It's 0.49. That's what half a second looks like.
That's interesting.
Cars.
Yeah, the last 3 laps he's managed to just pump that out by a tenth these laps. So he's just starting to build a little bit of a buffer on the Holden Racing Team car. 59.6, 59.6, Radicic and Scaife. They're both matching each other's pace at the moment. And then this battle for the minors. You've got Murphy, Johnson, Lowndes and Kelly. This is looking rearward from Lowndes. Kelly, car 15. And Lowndes has really been fighting a lot of rear-end grip difficulties. Now, one fellow that shouldn't be with us here at the moment, who was supposed to take his place on the grid, Mark Larkham. What on earth happened out there?
Well, Cromley, what's been probably our toughest weekend ever just got tougher. I'm not sure, mate. Something's given way at the rear of the car on the warm-up lap coming out here of the bowl. The car's got out on the sand and it's dug in and just flipped over. And quite extraordinary for that to happen on the warm-up lap. So,
did you have a clip of pace going at the time, or were you going quite slowly?
No, your normal procedure, warming up the tyres, giving a bit of stick going up the hill there, and of course when it lost its wheel, it skewed left, dug into the sand, and over it went. So unbelievable.
And it hasn't, as you said before, it hasn't actually been a barrel of laughs all weekend anyway, because for some reason the setup here this weekend has been a horror story for you.
I've got to admit, Cromley, we haven't been able to get on top of it. We've thrown all manner of things.
Well, Mark, thanks for dropping up, and stay with us and enjoy it from this perspective. I can assure you it's not quite as much fun, though.
Got that right.
Can't get any worse, Mark, unless you fall down the stairs off the way out of the commentary box.
Here's the replay, and it's Larry Perkins and Brad Jones. So that was the reason that Larry ended up out there in Sand Central.
So 2 Castrol cars going to the back of the pack. Another incident, Paul Romano and John Faulkner.
And John doesn't quite pull it up in time.
Whoops, Ricky Ardello in trouble.
Also, a report comes through that Glenn Seaton in the FTR Falcon is in the pits. They've got a problem with the engine in that car, Grant.
Yeah, exactly right, Neil. Just looking at the team here, they don't know exactly what it is right now. It sounds pretty rough, I can tell you, a bit like a Mack truck, but another bad day for Glenn Seaton.
Bizarre, considering he qualified on the front row. He should have been in for a good weekend, and then things just went from bad to worse through the succession of heat races. Here's this battle we talked about before between Lowndes and Kelly. This is 5th and 6th. There's a little margin up to Stephen Johnson, and Craig at the moment really being attacked by Kelly, a former teammate, and then those guys indeed have got a fairly reasonable margin back over Stephen Richards, who's 7th.
Tell you what's interesting too is that gap between Radicic and Scaife at the front. It's stabilised. It's 0.48 of a second, so Radicic has not been able to pump out that gap, that commanding lead he had in race 1 and 2. Holden Racing team car is going with him.
That is consistently quicker, though. Only a fraction, but...
It's down to hundreds, isn't it, Baz? So the order at the moment, Radicic, Scaife just half a second behind the Rat. Greg Murphy in 3rd, Stephen Johnson in 4th, Craig Lowndes in 5th, Todd Kelly 6th. Then it's Richards, Bright, Tander and McConville still rounding out the top 10.
You heard in the previous interview that Mark Scaife had retained a cleaner, younger set of tyres for this 3rd race, and clearly he's going to be able to run with Radicic. Some people may have chosen to use set 1 and set 2 in the successive races, and then they'll use their cleanest dirty shirts for the 3rd race, but others have kept the freshest set for the last heat.
Glenn Seaton, can you shed any light on what happened?
The engine's just dropped the cylinder, and we don't know what's either broke or rocker or something like that, so just the way it goes.
Heartbreaking, another performance.
Yeah, it's naturally the car's had good speed this weekend and been caught up with some incidents, and also the engine to have a problem we got now is a bit of bad luck.
You must be happy to see the Ford up the front, because the last time that Ford took a clean sweep was 97, and that was you at Eastern Creek, and we might do it again today.
Yeah, it's fantastic for Ford. It's great what they're putting in. They're starting to get something out of it.
Let you get back to it, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, those FTR cars have shown a lot of speed on a number of occasions this year, but they've just haven't been able to close the deal for whatever reason. Anyway, great shame for Glenn Seaton. Here's a bit of a challenge. Jason Bright, hard under brakes, sneaks up the inside, not quite close enough to Stephen Richards. Bright continuing to come from the rear of the top 20 as he's done so many times this year. He's up in 8th place.
Jason really had the rear brakes locked on, chirping into turn 1 there. Mark Larkin, that is, not Osler. I'm just curious to get your thoughts on the issue of setup around here. It seems a simple track, 2.4K, 7 turns. We all know it's abrasive. Why, in your opinion, do you think that so many people have so much trouble here?
I think the nature of the surface, Neil, it's very, very unique. As you can see, there's a lot of sand around, which has sort of taken the tops off the stones, and there's not much surface area, if you like. And I think if your car's not right in the window for this circuit, it exaggerates the problem. And we've thrown all manner of things at our cars. A lot of people have, I know, this weekend, and really haven't come up with any answers. So I guess we've got to go away and have a rethink about how we approach here next year and come up with something completely different.
Any kind of luck you won't have to approach it next year.
Yeah, well, who knows?
Look at this battle between Mclean and Bow, and it's also on with Tander and Bright. Stephen Richards in here as well. There's several vigorous brawls going on. The recurring theme when you talk to people through the paddock is their cars lacking sensitivity. They change 101 things except the door handles, and nothing changes the basic lap speed of the car.
That's the difficulty we've certainly had. It's interesting with Glenn there dropping a cylinder. In fact, he may have been better off staying out. I mean, to run on 7 cylinders around here can be an advantage,
Actually,
with the loss of power.
Horsepower might be better than 600. Here's Tony Longhurst and Brad Jones. Bradley does a bit of sprint car racing and gets all cranked up and sideways coming off turn 1. And he may even get assaulted by one of the Lansvale cars, and I think they've done damage. Yeah, there's damage to the car after that.
A new tyre going on in the right rear corner. And looks like Brad's going to get back into action. So Radicic and Scaife continue. That battle at the front still hovering around a half a second gap. Murphy, lonely ride in 3rd. Stephen Johnson doing a good job in 4th.
So Scaife continuing to keep the pressure on Radicic. He's looking for a hat-trick, a clean sheet. Pole, win, win, win. Scaife's going to do everything he can to stop him. But remember also that we've now reached pretty close to the halfway point of the championship. So it's important for Scaife to continue to accrue points. He came into this weekend as the championship leader, and here he is as we go on board, busy as ever. And the last thing he wants to do in a desperate lunge for a win is to throw away a little bag of points. Let's have a listen to what it's like to get around here for a lap and pay attention to the cautious use of the throttle. Well, look at this battle here continues between Bright and Richards, and Richards gets one out and one wide in the marbles out there and gets all sideways. We had to go away from Mark Scaife, but that gives us some idea of a lap around Barbagallo Raceway. And at this point in the weekend, considering tyre wear, they're all just treading very gently out there at the moment to get through to the flag.
After seeing that, you said there's no way that Radicic is just looking after his tyres and he's going as hard as he can go.
They're all absolutely 10/10ths, but even on that last lap, the margin remained 0.67, Barry, so there was only 1/100th difference between their lap time. This is Tander.
A competitive run from Cameron McConville here, the most competitive run so far by the Lansvale racing team. Very few V8 supercar teams based in Sydney, and they're having a good run here. Conville's currently equal 25th in the championship, so he's way down in points, but it's a new operation, their first in-house built VX Commodore coming on stream earlier this year, and Cameron and the team under Wally Story start to gel into quite a formidable operation.
Cameron Mclean's done well actually, because he came from way back in qualifying.
Yeah, originally in the first race he was back there in 30th, so for him to be 11th at the moment is a pretty fair effort, and we'll see if we can pick him up. There he is. He's just behind Bradley at the moment. Interesting, the last lap through, Scaife took a few hundredths out of the lead. It's down to 0.57, so just a fraction over half a second. So, you know, it's one of those margins where you cannot afford to miss a gear, lock a brake, miss an apex, or the bloke in second will climb all over you.
Well, we've seen so many times today, haven't we? The guy gets a foot off a line and it's just like ice.
As far as Cameron Mclean is concerned, the reason why he might be doing so well in this race is he's one of the few drivers to actually have a whole set of tyres which have only done about 4 laps. Some that he just kept in the corner of the garage after qualifying and just pulled it out as a card for this race.
Before race 3, he said, look what we've got for you.
Yeah, look at this. Stephen Johnson, very close to the back of Greg Murphy's car. Challenging for third. Murphy's been running on his own, but Junior's slowly been closing the gap to the Kmart car. And he's right on him now. This is a great drive from Steve. He is not well, boy.
Yeah, he won't be thinking too much about that right at the moment, though, will he?
The old adrenaline takes over, doesn't it?
Got a big Kmart incentive in front of him at the moment, so he won't be thinking about the snuffles.
The Fords have really come on strong in the last 3 rounds, Mark Lark. What can you apportion the sudden turn of success with the Blue Oval teams?
I think it really started mid last year, Mark. Everyone's starting to get their act together. This new under tray helped a lot. Just the overall package, and the teams are all stronger and up to the level.
You'd have to say the cars now are just so evenly matched. There's no longer a parity issue between the two makes.
Isn't it great that we don't talk about that anymore? Really,
Yeah,
I think it's fantastic.
I think we should also point out, Mark, that when we talk under trays, both brands have now got a common under tray. So, and that was a significant step that was taken, 2/3 of the way through last year to just ensure the most even competition aerodynamically at the front of the cars.
I think you're right, Neil. That was the turning point. What is interesting here, I'm just looking at the times. We're sort of up into over a minute now in a 60-second lap. We're 3 seconds slower than qualifying. I think that says it all about the surface here that the people are trying to deal with, the drivers are dealing with out there.
Out to 0.97, Radicic is almost out to a second lead over Scaife, which is significant when you consider for the last 16 laps they've been punching out lap times within hundredths of a second of each other. It's monitoring around half a second. Now he's got it out to almost a second. So it doesn't sound like much, but he's actually doubled his lead.
And the message went through on the radio to Greg Murphy last time through that if Stephen Johnson gets fired, do not panic. You'll still be 3rd overall on the day. But Murphy's still indicating at the moment that he's not going to give it away without a battle.
3 laps to go. Like Murph, does it?
No, Stephen Johnson is hustling, looking for a way through. The point that Mark Larkin makes is a good one. When you start talking about 60-second lap times around here or high 59s, suddenly the braking markers that you had when you had clean, grippy tyres, they've all moved out by not a few metres, but by tens of metres. You can't attack the throttle in any way, shape or form like you did when you had grip. You've got to change the rhythm and the way in which you mesh with the car. You can't hustle it. You have to kid the car and caress the car to get it home to the flag.
And look at these guys racing. I mean, they really are on tenterhooks. Hard to imagine from outside the car, but it's that much harder racing like these two guys are doing in those conditions.
Look at Murph glances at the mirror. Stephen Johnson got a bit of a run at him that time, but may not be enough. And Greg's awake up. He'll just run a little bit wider going to the corner. He's allowed to do that under the motor racing law. He can move 2 or 3 feet either way. 2 laps to go this time, so 2 minutes of racing for Stephen Johnson. Do you have a go or not?
60.54 for Radicic, a 60.68 for Scaife. It's out to just over 1 second now. So Radicic has been able to fend off the Holden Racing Team Challenge here. With less than 2 laps remaining, it could be a clean sweep for the Rat at Barbagallo.
If Stephen Johnson can get this done, it'll have to be out of turn 6 coming out of Kolb Corner. This is 5 over the brow of the hill. It's a bit of a blind brow, and then the fast run down here. There's a big bump on the braking approach into this corner. They've just gone across it there. It tends to light up the inside front tyre and very easy to lock a brake. Now, if Johnson gets a good exit out of here, he might get the run he needs. He has got a couple of Ks on him. This is the best opportunity he's had, but Murphy will move across to the middle of the road.
Hanging on by his fingernails. Oh, look how close Johnson is. Oh,
dear me.
Almost looked like he was going to stick his guard right alongside the right rear wheel of Murphy's car. He just wasn't quite close enough. 1 lap remaining.
Do you think both those guys were on the braking limit then?
Couldn't have got closer than that. Craig Lowndes has his mirrors full of Todd Kelly, so the 2 Kmart Commodores doing a good job inside the top 6.
Order is Radicic, Scaife, Murphy, Johnson, Lowndes, Kelly, Bright, Tander, Richards, McConville, Mclean, Bargwana, Bow, Wheel, Richards, Jason Richards, Tony Longhurst, Ingle back up to 17th after that stop-go. Then Ashby 18th, Rodney Forbes and Anthony Tratt 20th.
I think the significance of those leading cars, Neil, it's Ford, Holden, Ford, Holden. Good mix amongst that top 6.
More people stayed in the 59s in the latter part of this race than the earlier event. Final lap. And it's going to be all Paul Radicic at the end. It's a remarkable result for him, but can his teammate deal with Greg Murphy? Here comes
Radicic,
the leader and the ultimate winner.
He's got the lights flashing on and the crowd has gone berserk. Ford fans erupt as Paul Radicic brings it home. 3rd win in a row for Ford in the Shell Championship Series. The first time they've done that since 1995. There's the team owner Dick Johnson and team manager Dean Orr congratulating each other on a job well done. Amazing performance from Paul Radicic. An equally impressive one from Junior Johnson.
Terrific result for the Shell team, and not a bad recovery from Stephen Johnson, who certainly didn't start out with great strength earlier in the weekend. Quickly before we go to the results, thanks Mark Larkin for coming up. I know it's a miserable task to have to come up, but we'll look forward to seeing you at Calder.
Thanks, Neil.
Now look at this on the Shell Helix replay. The battle continued between Todd Kelly and Craig Lowndes all the way through this last lap. Biff and Barge. A tap here and a tap there, but I know that Lowndes got through in the end. He finished in 5th, only just though, and Lowndes takes a bit of road back off him and says, well, I can play that game too. It's spirited out there. There's the winner. He'll pick up 288 points on the day or over the course of the weekend. Excellent performance from Paul Radicic. A good, solid, steady run from Mark Scaife, protecting his championship lead. An excellent recovery from Stephen Johnson there in 4th. He ended up just 4 seconds down. It was certainly much tighter at the top in this one. Then it was Lowndes in 5th after having all that biff and barge with his old mate Todd Kelly. Jason Bright in 7th, and then Garth Tander in 8th. He was down 16 seconds. Stephen Richards, McConville, Mclean, Bargwana, Bow, Wheel, Richards and Longhurst.
Well, Paul Radicic, Ford are back, and DJR are the pack leaders. A clean sweep, well done.
What a day, huh? Started out well yesterday, pole, and winning the first race in 2 in a row today. No trouble, had a bit of brake trouble in that last one, so I just wanted to keep on the island, but everything's going so well, and great to break the Holden dominance on this track.
I'm almost getting sick of hearing the word tyres around here because it's played such an important part. Did you have the best at the end of the day, or is it something you just drive around?
Well, I think, our setup worked extremely well, and hats off to the team. They did a great job to give me the car to do the job, and I was just able to drive around at a good, smooth, consistent pace and conserve the tyres. It was a little sticky at the beginning of the race because Mark was all over me like yesterday, and I was able to hold him up and then just sort of stretch things away from there.
Now, last time Ford won 3 consecutive rounds was 1995. Can you do it for the next round?
Who knows? It's so competitive out there, and as you can see, I mean, we were very competitive in Canberra and have a lot of problems, but we're able to bring that speed to a circuit with sweeping corners, and I think we can keep building on it. But if we can do it again, we'll just have to wait and see.
Great drive, well done. We'll let you enjoy it.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, Grant.
Mark Scaife, that looked like a pretty hard day at the office, but a good result, 2nd place.
Well, I said to you after race 2, Mark, that we were, that we were in it, and I reckon in the last race we were much further in it. I mean, our car was very close to Paul's, and We made a few changes to the back of the car for the last race. It looked after the tyres, but it was a really good battle. I mean, there was nothing in it. It was fantastic.
What about these Fords, eh? 3 in a row. You blokes have got some competition all of a sudden.
Oh, look, I think it's great. There's no doubt about it. And, you know, the more that they put the pressure on us, the harder we've got to try, and the challenge is certainly there. So, no, I'm looking forward to the rest of the season, no doubt.
Now, we've got Calder coming up in July. Different kind of track, but more sprint racing.
Yeah, more sprint racing and a sort of circuit that will bring the field together. I mean, if Wanneroo brings the field together, Calder will be something else. There'll be 25 cars within a second. And in the middle of winter, who knows about the weather? So, you know, stay tuned for the next exciting episode.
Well done.
Thank you.
And after the 3 heats here, this is what it looks like for the round 6 results in the overall. Radisich takes 288 on the day from Mark Scape and Greg Murphy, as we just saw. Interesting further down to look at Ingle, then Craig Lowndes, Stephen Johnson, Todd Kelly, Jason Bright, Stephen Richards and Cameron McConville. Radisich was awesome today. 2 wins today, a win yesterday, and then that pole position, quite an extraordinary performance. So he takes the trophy and the laurel wreath. Ross Brodie from Shell Australia making the presentation to Paul, certainly making amends for that difficult run that he had at Canberra, because he really buried himself after the mishap in qualifying. Here's the situation in the championship points overall after 6 rounds. Scaife consolidates his lead, 16-12, plays Jason Bright 15.03, then Russell Ingle 12.68, so it's all holding up the top. Then Stevie Johnson, the first of the Fords. Greg Murphy, he's moved up. Marcus Ambrose, tough day for him. Then Stephen Richards for FTR in 7th. Todd Kelly, didn't he have a great battle with Craig Lowndes position, and Glenn Seaton